The number one thing that makes a man think of you as wife material. Here's a hint, it's not your looks, your figure, or your job. Hey, it's Brett Parker. I help men and women with relationships. So men don't choose a wife. Men don't set their sights on someone to marry based on how they look. Guys usually date women in the same kind of league, I guess, for lack of a better word, women who are roughly the same level of attractive. He's not going to meet somebody who he thinks is much more attractive and think, oh my God, I have to marry her. That's not how it works. And your figure is the same way. Guys are attracted to women with different types of figures, and those are the women that he's going to date, right? But the woman he's going to think of to marry, the one that he wants to spend his life with, the one that he doesn't want to live without, the one that he wants with him in the foxhole, right? Us against the world, that's a woman with a nurturing heart. That's a woman who will nurture him, who will respect him. And really, nurturing is an undervalued quality, but it's what we look for. It's what men look for. Now, that doesn't mean you have to dumb yourself down. That doesn't mean you can't be amazing and beautiful and successful and ambitious and brilliant in all sorts of ways. But a man wants to be nurtured, just like a woman wants to feel safe. If a guy makes you feel safe, you're going to slip easily into your feminine energy, right? Then you can be nurturing. Then you can be sensual. Then you can be feminine. And that's what makes a good match. It's not how you look. It's not your body. It's not, if you need to lose a few pounds. It's really connecting with a man who feels like you are the nurturing person that he wants to spend his life with. That's it.
Welcome back to the channel. You see the information on the screen, so you already know what I'm about. So let's get into it. So this particular video I thought was interesting because I do think, again, this is something that a lot of people are trying to really figure out the answer to. And I think the reason why this keeps coming up, and even while I do agree with this gentleman, I also disagree. And I'm going to go a little bit more into why. All right. And again, I think the why of why I disagree is the reason why there's so many problems out here on, social media when it comes to this. The number one thing that I think most people do not think about or factor is the fact that people are different. Okay, I want to say that, like, literally scream that to the world. People are different. If you don't weigh the information that you're giving to people with the weight of the concept that there's different personality types, most of what you tell people is only going to affect a very small group of people. It does not matter, what the situation is, it's only going to affect a small group of people. Why? Okay, because we have a lot of different personalities out here. And then we also have a lot of different places where people are in a socioeconomic place. Now, the problem with that from a social media perspective is that now you're basically talking to a lot of people which have a lot of different backgrounds. And so you're basically having to break it up into chunks. You're having to say, okay, this group, you need this. This group, you need this. And this other group, you need this. And so now all of a sudden, you're talking to 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 different groups, and it becomes difficult. And then people are waiting for you to talk about their specific group. And even with me, on this channel that I talk about 3 basic groups: the heart type, the thinking type, and the instinct type. And you have those for both men and women. Okay, then you have introverts and extroverts. And see, just by using those, we now have 6 different personalities. And because someone can be an instinct type and a heart type, okay, where they're instinct more and then heart a little bit less, they work differently. They don't work exactly like an instinct type or exactly like a heart type. In fact, I was talking about something recently, and there was one guy that got really upset, and he jumped down in the comments because he was trying to say that something that I had said about one of the types in his belief system was not true. But see, to me there's not a pure type, and it's rare for you to run into someone that's a pure type. And I don't think that particular gentleman in the comments thought about that. Because if I say an instinct type, yeah, instinct types work a certain way. But like for me, I've said it before, I'm instinct/heart. So I am a heart type. And believe it or not, I love through my heart type. And that's why I always talk about the fact that for me, it's almost like I am the nice guy. Why? Because I love through the heart type. Men that love through the heart type, they generally get labeled as the nice guy, right? But my instinct type drives me forward. So a lot of times when I date, what I try to do is I try to lean into the instinct type first. And when I lean into the instinct type first, that works much better for me than leaning into the heart type first. You kind of understand how this works. But no matter what the situation is, it's rare to find pure people that 100% are one thing or another. And again, this is where this particular information, while I'm not saying that the guy is bad, what I am saying is he's looking at it from a very narrow perspective or a very narrow point of view. Now, I'm going to bring up just a few of his comments, the comments that are actually to the side, and it actually makes my point before I'm going to talk about how to solve this. So one particular comment said, I have a very nurturing personality, and I literally just get used, friend zoned, or passed over for more thin and beautiful women. Another one says, men want the nurturing, but don't want to do anything for the women. Another one says, I've never had a man allow me to lean into my feminine energy because I've always had to do everything. Finally, they don't appreciate nurturing. I'm good. And then he actually says, all of them, as to mean all of the men, you've never had it at all. None of them have appreciated it. And see, this is where, like I said, even his own comments are turning against him. And the reason why they're turning against him is because it's not what he said is bad. That's not the problem. The problem is he's talking about women that he runs into, the women that he likes. And that's the key. And see, honestly, most people, that's what they do. When Steve Harvey is talking, he's not just talking to, like a lot of people know, his own daughters, because a lot of his stuff is how he would give advice to his own daughters. But he's also talking about his personality when it comes to dating women. It's the same thing for Matthew Hussey. It's the same thing for Kevin Samuels. It's the same thing for almost all of these men. They're giving you advice based on what they want. And a lot of the women people out here do the exact same thing. They're giving men advice based off what they want, what moves them, right? And that is why the information works, but then it doesn't work. There's always this piece that doesn't work. And then people get frustrated about why it doesn't work. And that's why I'm always trying to let you all know there's more to it. It is a trick to it if you really want to know the trick. But the bottom line is that doesn't work because you're not factoring in all personalities. And if you're not factoring in all personalities, you all these little tricks to get people and to find out whether or not you're wifey material or husband material is not going to work. So let me teach you how to do it very quickly and simply. Okay. So the very first thing is that you have to understand there's something called dopamine. All right. And this exists within the human body. And you've also heard me talk about oxytocin. Okay. So oxytocin, the longer you hang out with somebody, the more oxytocin you're pretty much going to have with them. All right. It allows you just to be comfortable with the person. You no longer see them as a stranger. You start to see them as an acquaintance. Then you start to see them as a friend. And then if you like them a little bit, you're going to get more. Right. And then you have this thing, dopamine, which is really just kind of like a reward. You can see it that way. A reward for a certain situation. All right. And the reason why I have to say a certain situation here, again, this is where it starts to kind of flip a little bit. Right. So right now, if you look on the screen, what you're seeing is 5 love languages, right? This is up from Simply Psychology, and many of you have heard about this. And before I get too deep into the 5 love languages, I am going to tell you that from a Christian perspective, God doesn't really like the 5 love languages. That is a man-based thing, and the Holy Spirit told me a long time ago that that's not really God's thing. God puts up with a lot of stuff, but that's not necessarily his thing. Because generally speaking, when you're starting to talk about the love languages, it's what someone is lacking. And that's why if you really study the 5 love languages, you'll find out that they actually change. So people's love languages can change. All right. So that being said, the 5 love languages is what everybody wants. All people want all 5 of these things. But sometimes we can want one more than we want the other. And it's generally because of a place that we are at that moment in time. Is this starting to make sense? So like 2 of the things that I've almost always noticed that most singles have is they'll generally have quality time and they'll also have physical touch. And the reason why a lot of singles have these things is because singles don't get touched all the time and they don't have any quality time because they're not around their person, right? So they have no person, so they miss being with someone, and then no one's touching them at all, not even giving them a hug or holding hands. So a lot of times once they get a little bit of, the oxytocin drip, they're going to want to hold hands. They're going to want, to be touched by you. They're going to want to touch you, but it might not last forever. It might only last, for a couple of months or whatever, so that they get enough to get back on the rhythm of who they really are, right? And see, this is the thing that, again, a lot of people don't understand. So when you start looking at the 5 love languages, now how do you use that, or how does that help you when you are a woman or a man out here trying to find your person? Well, it's simple. I've told you all before, you need to listen. All right. And that seems so trivial, like such a small thing. But what I find is most people don't listen. What most people do is the person that is in front of them, the person that they're currently dating, they are comparing them to every single person that they've dated before. And not just comparing them, they're literally putting them in the same bucket. It is like if a woman is dating a man and every man she dated before that, he has always cheated on her. So now she has a history of men that are cheaters. She believes in her heart that the man in front of her, even though he's a different man, she believes that he's going to cheat. Is this starting to make sense? So if a man is in front of a woman, we're going to do another example. So if a man is in front of a woman and every single time before, all the men in this woman's life, okay, they wanted quality time and physical touch. Those were the things that seemed to make those men happy, right? But the man is basically telling her, hey, I like it, when people do things for me. Okay. I like a woman who comes in and cleans up. I like a woman, who might fix me a meal. I like a woman that will pick out clothes for me. I like a woman, that might take my credit card, but then go buy me some clothes, for myself or something like that and level me up. So this man is basically saying, I like acts of service. And he'll be saying this over and over again. He might not say it in big ways, but he might say it in little ways. Okay, by saying, oh, I really like this, or somebody gave me this and it made me so happy, and different things like that. So he's basically telling you what he wants. The problem is that the woman is thinking about all the men she's dated before. And so she's treating him like all the men she's dated before. So she's thinking, oh, if I hang out with him, if he's sitting there and we're holding hands, this guy's good. He's good. But that's what Tariq wanted, and Malik wanted, and Michael wanted, okay? And Traquavius wanted, or whatever. That's what those men wanted. That's not what the man in front of you wants. So you have to listen, and you can't just come out and ask him and be like, yo, what you want? Tell me what you want. Most people are not going to do that because they feel like you're going to use that against them. So all you have to do is listen. He's telling you what he wants. He's telling you his own secrets. And men and women do this. Generally speaking, when you first start to date anyone, not only are they going to tell you the secrets to how to get them, but they're also going to tell you their insecurities. They're going to tell you almost everything because it's the thing that's on their heart. It is sitting there right there at the back of their brain. Okay, it's the very things that they're afraid of. And most people are trying to get it out because it's the only way that they're going to feel comfortable. So slowly but steadily, they're going to find a way to leak that information out. And what you have to do is listen. That's all you have to do is listen. Because if someone wants acts of service, you can't give them physical touch. If someone wants something else, and that's why even with the 5 love languages, there's actually more things that people want. Okay? Like some people crave loyalty. They crave it. Okay? And the only way to get it to them is you have to reassure them that you're not going anywhere, that you're going to be there for them. Okay, that you desire to be with one person, or that you desire, just to give your heart only to them. But that's not going to work with someone who wants gifts. And gifts for a lot of men watching, it doesn't always mean these big gifts. Like I've said, most people that really want gifts, they're not talking about buy them a Mercedes. What they're talking about is small gifts. They're saying, think of me and show me that you think of me. Buy me a card, buy me, a couple of, roses, which might cost you $20. Buy me some candy and bring that home to me. What they're saying is, give me something. Show me that you're thinking about me. And see, this is where, like I say, a lot of people don't quite get this. And this is why so much advice out here is actually hurting people. Because again, you have people that are whatever it is that they feel. They get on, on the internet because they feel like nobody else is talking about what they're talking about. And so they get out there and then they say it. And like the original guy, he seems like he's a little bit more old school type of gentleman. So he's like, yeah, I've got money, I've got this, I've got that, so if I can find me a woman that, is nurturing, a woman that is chill, a woman that'll take care of me, a woman that'll rub my back, I'm good. That's what I'm looking for. And so what he's basically trying to say is all women out there, this is what men are looking for. No, dude, that's what you're looking for. And I agree that there's probably 15 to 20% of men out there that they want that. But that's not every man. And that is, like I say, where the problem comes in. And that's why, like I say, on this channel, it takes a lot more for me to go into the depth of all these different people and all these different personalities and all these different situations. But you'll get your answer if you're willing to do a little bit of work on your side. You have to figure out, what is your real personality? What do you really like to do? Okay, are you more outgoing? Are you an introvert? Okay, do you lead your life with your heart? Are you a volunteer? Do you like to help people? Do you like supporting people? That is the heart type energy. Okay, are you a go-getter? Or do you truly want to own your own business? Do you truly want to go up the social ladder? Do you not like working for people? That means you're instinct type. And if you're not one of those two, you're probably thinking type. But most people are going to be hybrids. Okay, like I said with myself, I am primarily instinct type, followed by heart type. Okay, but as crazy as it sounds, I get along very well with thinking types. Why? Because the way that my particular instinct type works is I actually love information. Okay, and because I have a love for information, the thinking types love to absorb information and they love to ask questions about information. So therefore, I get along very well with thinking types. Does this make sense? So we're all made to get along with each other at different levels. And there are heart types that get along with thinking types and heart types that get along with instinct types and vice versa and all over the place. And then, like I say, you have your hybrids and then you have your introverts and your extroverts. And you have some men that love an introverted woman. They love them. They think the introverted women are the best women on the earth. And then you have other men who love extroverted women. They love a woman that's out there that, shows herself off, that walks with super confidence, as she's coming, through the mall or down the street or wherever it is. But again, everybody's trying to put everybody in a certain bucket. And one of the things that I've learned is that people find their bucket. Okay. When I look at some influencers out here, it's really interesting because I can tell that most of the people that follow them are the very type that they're always talking about, saying that women should be. Those are the women that follow that particular person. And then I know with me, I get a lot more intellectual type of people to follow me. Why? Because that's who, I talk about. I talk about the depth of stuff. Even though anybody can really follow me and get something from it, because I do go into the, always down the lines and the different places that people can be. But a lot of times, if someone is not, has a little bit of intellectual energy, they don't want all that. They just want the quick and easy and be done with it. So a lot of, straight up instinct type men, if they're 100% pure, they might not like my site. Because if they're out here on this YouTube and I talked, about things for 25 minutes, they're like, dude, man, you could have told me that in 90 seconds. Because for them, they want the quick hit. They can figure everything out because that's how instinct types are. And so boom, 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 they're done and they're out the door. And it was funny because at the very beginning, I used to get things like that in the comments. But the more I go along and the more, people come out, okay, I find that I'm getting more intellectual conversations down there in the comments. And that basically talks about, again, the audience in which is finding the video. But anyway, the key to this is simple. Listen, listen, listen. The person will tell you. I don't give a doggone toot if they say that they won't. They are going to tell you. They might not use the exact words of saying, I want you to be loyal, or I want you to, give acts of service, or I want you to do quality time or give gifts. They're not going to say that. But what they're going to do is they're going to hint at the things that they like and hint at their concerns and worries. Okay. And that's what you have to key in on. And like I've encouraged you all before, in the very first 90 days, I definitely encourage you to take notes. And when I say this, I'm meaning it literally. Okay. That you can open up your phone, you have your little notepad and keep track. Keep track of the red flags, keep track of the green flags, keep track of the certain things you think that they like. And then if you do some of those things, watch their response. Because see, what happens is when you give the person something, and that's the point I'm trying to make, when you give them something that lines up to what they want, that is going to trigger a dopamine hit. All right. That's what's going to happen. It's going to trigger a dopamine hit. And when they continue to get dopamine hits, you are literally becoming their drug dealer. All right. And you're giving them drugs. OK, you might not see it that way, but that's really what's happening in their brain. You're giving them the drug of their choice. And the more they get that drug, the more they're going to want you. And if you're already a nice person, and if you're already lining up to the non-negotiables that in the way that they see it, that is going to make them want to lock you down. Okay, because you're giving them more of a dopamine hit than anybody else. All right. And this is another reason why when people say, oh, why did they come back after 30 days or 60 days or whatever? This is why. And when they don't come back, is because you've never given them enough of a dopamine hit. They feel like they can either get more of that from somebody else, or they might feel like, somebody in their past that might be still single, can give that to them. So you have to, think about it from all those perspectives. So anyway, remember on Thursdays, every other Thursday, we do Thursday Talk. So please come out and be a part of that. Also, remember that, we do some dating stuff. So if you're interested in that, there's some information down in the description. So you can check that out. But until then, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in the very next video.